I want to talk today about story of the Tower of Babel. So this is Genesis 11. It says, "Now the whole earth had one language and the same words. And as people migrated from the east, they found a plain in the land of Shinar and settled there. And they said to one another, 'Come, let us make bricks and burn them thoroughly.' And they had brick for stone and bitumen for mortar. Then they said, 'Come, let us build ourselves a city and a tower with its top in the heavens, and let us make a name for ourselves, lest we be dispersed over the face of the whole earth.' And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children of man had built. And the Lord said, 'Behold, they are one people, and they have all one language. And this is only the beginning of what they will do, and nothing that they propose to do will now be impossible for them. Come, let us go down and there confuse their language, so that they may not understand one another's speech.' So the Lord dispersed them from there over the face of the earth, and they left off building the city. Therefore its name was called Babel, because there the Lord confused the language of the earth, and from there the Lord dispersed them over the face of the earth." So first thing I want to point out is that this takes place after the flood, which I think is really interesting because you think about, why did God flood the earth in the first place? It was basically because mankind had become so sinful, and he basically said he wanted to have a fresh start with Noah, and said all mankind was wicked, but Noah found favor in the sight of God. And so ever since sin entered the world through Adam and Eve, when they first chose to disobey God's commands, sin just runs rampant. You know, one generation later, you have Cain and Abel, and you have murder. So you go from simply, eating the fruit to murder, and it's all sin in the eyes of God. It all separates us from God, but it just blows up. Basically, it's like a virus that just spreads rapidly, and it gets to the point where God is like, "All right, like, um, we need to start over." Basically, mankind is so wicked, and so I'm gonna have Noah build an ark, take him and his wife and his three sons and their wives, and start over. And so that's what happens. And this is literally right after um, Noah, um, you know, a few generations later. Chapter 10 is titled Nations Descended from Noah, and then chapter 11 of Genesis is the Tower of Babel. And so I just think it's kind of funny that it's still so evident how sin is prevalent in the world even after the clean slate, so to speak, with Noah. Um, obviously God promised that He would never flood the earth again. He gave us the sign of the rainbow in the sky as a promise, and so we know that that won't happen again. But sin remains, and here in the story of the Tower of Babel, the people decide that they're going to build a tower to reach the heavens to make a name for themselves. And really, the sin cuts to the same heart issue that Adam and Eve had when they were in the garden. So Adam and Eve chose to eat of the fruit of knowledge of good and evil so that they might be like God, knowing good and evil. And here, the people decide that they want to build a tower so that they might reach the heavens. In essence, they want to be like God. And this is the same sin. This is the same heart that we find ourselves struggling with today, is that we want to make a name for ourselves. We want to glorify ourselves and basically make ourselves our own God. And so it's interesting here, obviously they're not in an age of super advanced engineering, but they still are good enough to build good structures, they say, come, let us make bricks and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone. So they were basically using their best technology that they had, combining all their efforts into one to make this tower. Um, and this just makes me think how futile this effort was, because now we live in an age where we've sent people into space, right? Right. Back then, they didn't really know how high you could go. They didn't know what reaching the heavens even meant. So for them, it was just like, well, let's just build as high as we can go. Let's use our collective efforts and our best technology that we have to get as high as we can. And obviously, we know now, like, you're not going to build a tower from the ground and have it reach to the heavens. Um, we know that you get to space, you get to the atmosphere, and you can't breathe. So, really, like, it's just a completely futile effort looking at it now in our day and age. And even now, as we look at space, we know we have no clue how endless it is. Um, it just, we have look to space and you'll just see how big, you'll get a glimpse of how big God is. And, I think that this is a good lesson for us to realize, like, to recognize when we ourselves are trying to um, put ourselves on a pedestal, and we're trying to make ourselves the god of our own lives, so to speak. Um, and that this is just a good reminder of how futile that is, because ultimately, um, we can't do anything to make ourselves a God. We'll never be a good God. Um, our best efforts are, nothing compared to our Creator. And so this is just hopefully a good reminder to humble yourself before the Lord, recognize that He is God, He is a good God, and to repent of all the ways that we try to make ourselves God. Thanks.